Going down the list, Finland, Iceland, Austria, Norway, Sweden, Australia. Okay, what's the common denominator in the top 10? And the common denominator in the top 10 is like, we have to be objective about this. So like in the top 10, they're all small populations, relatively small geographical areas with homogeneous populations. So that is the common denominator in that top 10, right? Even Australia, like Australia's population is significantly smaller than Canada. Let's take what it is here. Population of Australia, 26 million. You know what I mean? So they're 60% of our population, right? It's not as small as some of the other ones on that list, but it's significantly smaller than Canada. And we have to be objective that when it's a larger population and a larger landmass, and the homogenous populations with similar cultural beliefs are easier to manage. It's just an easier management project.
Yeah, okay. It's just a different assignment than having mass immigration.
Yeah, think of it as business terms. That's an important one. I want to get into that mass immigration, because there's an outlier in that too. But we'll get back to that. But there's think of it in management terms. Is it easier to manage a business with 5 employees or 50? Of course, the 5 is easier to do, right? The 50, is harder to do. It's a naturally harder assignment to get. Okay, and so then I get into page 2 on this list, and this ranks 83 different countries. Page 2, the United States and Germany. So we get all the way down to, we'll get to Canada in a bit. Like, we haven't seen Canada in the top 11 here yet. We're on 11 and 12.
Yeah, and that's an interesting case as well.
Yes, but you're starting to see 11 and 12. There are 3, you see the first 3 countries on this list who have larger populations than Canada who rank above them. United States, Germany, Japan. Okay. So United States at 12, Germany at 13, Japan at 15, okay? And then you start to get into, it's like, okay, again, the United States is ranking very high because of their purchasing power. They're still very, very reliant on the U.S. dollar. That purchasing power is still very, very high. Incomes are up in the U.S., and their dollars, it's the strongest bullshit fiat currency of the bunch, right?
All right, yeah, the best of the worst currency out there.
The best of the fake money, right?
Yeah, not quite Zimbabwe dollars, but it's the strongest of the fake money, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then you get into Germany and Japan. Okay, interesting. We're going to get into those in a little more detail later, but we keep going down. You see, Estonia, Qatar, Spain. That was interesting to me that Spain was, that high at number 18. I kind of didn't really think about that, but their healthcare at a 7. Ooh. Interesting. I don't actually really know a lot about the Spanish healthcare system. Certainly not my area of expertise.
So higher is better on that particular metric?
Yeah, they're 7th in their healthcare system, according to this. According to this analysis, is the 7th best in the world.
Okay, that's pretty high.
That's kind of bumping up their score there, right? Healthcare is one of those things where it's kind of important. When you're dying, it's like it might not matter how nice your place is, but if you die, you're not going to get to enjoy it. So healthcare is kind of important, okay? Going through it, United Arab Emirates, we're going to talk about that one in some more detail, okay? Because that one throws the monkey wrench into the homogenous population argument, okay? But we'll get into that in a bit. Okay, we keep going down. The United Kingdom, okay, at 24. Okay, look at the safety score in the United Kingdom.
Yikes.
63.
That is
63.
That's pretty telling.
It's 63rd. There's 62 other countries that are more safe than the United Kingdom, right?
Places I've reconsidered going on vacation to.
Yeah. So then we get all the way down to Canada at number 30. Okay. And again, you have to take these with a grain of salt. Is Canada the 25th? Is Canada the 35th? It's like, my eye, this is pretty good. I've visited some of these places. I've spent time there. I mean, you start looking at the things that's like, okay, purchasing power, 24th in the world. Okay, is the Canadian dollar the U.S. dollar? No, it's just not, right? You look at the income levels. Like anybody wants to like really test the strategy and like think critically about it, just start looking at the income trajectories. We posted them. We posted them directly from, directly from Stats Canada on our Instagram, and you can look at the incomes, how they're progressing in the U.S. versus Canada. What's the GDP per capita? How it's progressing in the U.S. versus Canada? What's the strength of our dollars? Like, this is not a surprise. Like, this is not a surprise that Canada is 24th in the world for purchasing power. Okay. Safety, 52. 52. And this is the one where it's like, I feel that there's a lot of people who haven't traveled the world that much out there, and they just assume that Canada is like the safest country in the entire planet, and every other country is a significant danger if you go there.
Yeah,
right?
you go to the U.S., you're going to die immediately as soon as you land in America.
Yeah.
But look at Canada, like 52.
Yeah.
52.
I mean,
insane.
the U.S. is like 66.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
like, it's a little more dangerous.
It's a little
right?
more dangerous, but my gosh, 52.
Yeah. So it's, is this really surprising to someone? I mean, like people like, show me your source. Like I always tell people, why don't we show you the sources? Because we want you to look up different sources and think critically about it. Right. First of all, like if you can't find this source, like you just haven't looked. Like you're gonna find it. It's very easy to find.
Yeah,
You're
this is
gonna
an
find
easy
other
Google search.
similar sources, right? We want you to look at it, but like, I mean, for anybody who's lived in Canada, it's like, do you think it's safer than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It's like, go ride the train in the middle of the night and tell me how safe you feel, right? Like, yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, some mornings I have to take the train here to our office downtown Edmonton, and every morning there's a new crop of homeless / druggies sleeping in the shelter, in the LRT shelter.
Yeah.
Trying to keep warm and have a place to lie their heads at night. And I've seen people defecate in the train stations and so forth. It's awful. I mean, it's not a good scene. I mean, I hate when I have to take transit because it's just terrible. But
yeah,
save the planet. Take a train.
Healthcare, 30th. Okay, I like love picking on healthcare because people like have healthcare debates as if Canada and the U.S. are the only two healthcare systems in the world, and that's it. That's all we should do. It's like, oh, if you don't like our free healthcare system, join the U.S. It's like, guys, there's like 200 other countries. Maybe we should look at a couple other ones too to see who's actually functioning there. But like,
we can both say that they're both terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
right?
like objectively, I don't think you'd find a source where it's saying that this is, Canada, the U.S. are the world leaders in healthcare. Like that's just not happening. It doesn't matter what source you look at. It's like you're not going to find that by any kind of objective, reasonable source. And so when you get 30th in the world, do I think it's the healthcare system of the Democratic Republic of Congo? No. But do I think it's a world leader? It's like, no, I don't think it is. It's 30th best in the world. And like, I don't know many Canadians who's, lived a bit and who has older family members, who's had the experience of having kids and been to emergencies, who doesn't have a horror story. Like, I don't know any that don't have a horror story of the Canadian healthcare system.
Yeah. Well, put it this way, our healthcare system has degraded so much that now one of the first lines of treatment is suicide. Well, we'll kill you. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be long, painful. Like we may cure you, we may not. So I mean, here's an offer to kill you.
We'll give you the assisted dying. It's not. For anyone who thinks that this is a great scenario, it's like 30th in the world. Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable. I've seen some other countries. It's like I kind of get it. Right?
Well, look at Taiwan.
Yeah,
number 1 in healthcare in the world.
That's right.
I bet you nobody thought that was
right.
true.
And everyone's going to sit there and look at political leaders who are just having a Canada versus U.S. healthcare debate, and like how many of them are saying, hey, but look what they're doing in Taiwan. You know what I mean? What did they do in Spain? You know what I mean? Like, how did they rank so high, right?
Yeah. Why don't some of these leaders in Canada go and visit Taiwan and see what they're doing with their healthcare system? Because they're not a same kind of country as us, but like you said, a homogenous population.
Yeah.
Great manufacturing, tech sector.
Yeah.
Healthy. Like, why?
Cost of living, 74th best in the world. That means there are 73 countries better than Canada in terms of cost of living. This has gotten worse. Like, come on, people, this has gotten worse in the last 10 years, right? It's been getting worse since 1971, but that's besides the point. That's every country's problem, right? But in Canada, it's been getting worse in the last 10 years, and it's been getting significantly worse in the last 5 years, right? Like, the line is like, we started with 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and we ended up with $87 veggie trays, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's you go to the supermarket and they want $87 for a veggie tray. Like, yeah, that's kind of what happened, right? So cost of living 74, property price to income ratio. I mean, everyone talks about the cost of housing in Canada. 30th in the world. 30th. There's 29 other countries who can figure out, how to have better housing than us. How to have more of affordable housing than us. Look at the U.S. 4th best in the world. Fourth best in the world, right? And so when we're running those comparisons cross-border, how much something cost in Ontario versus across the border in Michigan, you're comparing the 30th versus the 4th, right? So think of this as the Olympics. It's like, we didn't qualify, and they're in the finals. Yeah. we didn't qualify, and they're in the finals. So, commute time, 36. 36 in the world is like, okay, I've been to some worse places, and I've been to, we've all been to maybe some better places, okay? And then pollution, 17. Okay, not so bad. Not so bad, right? And some people are thinking, it's like, oh, okay, well, we should be number one on pollution. It's like, okay, Finland and Iceland, like, we got more of we have more of an industrial base than Finland and Iceland, people. It's like 17's not so bad. Like, it's, not that bad, right? And so this is a good outlier of, like, where we are. You start looking at some of the, like, where is it really bad? It's like Peru, Iran, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nigeria. It's like, okay, I kind of get it, right? And this list really only goes 83 deep, right? There's more countries than 83 countries, right?